Welcome to Rap in Order, the interrogation of a hip-hop album, where we take some of the culture's most beloved hip-hop albums, put them on the stand, see if they stood the test of time. Now let's see who we got on the stand today. Welcome to another episode of Rap in Order. I'm First Class Reg.
I'm Torian V.
We got that V-list guy here. Yep. Doing his best Elon impersonation from the Joe Rogan podcast.
It's a joint out of blunt.
And how are you guys today?
Yeah.
That was a blunt? I thought it was a joint.
That was a blunt.
Oh, yeah. Because, well, admittedly, I didn't watch the episode. I saw just the memes. Yeah. Okay. How you guys doing today?
I'm doing good. I'm having I'm kind of sad now because Gen V finally, the season finale happened. So now I'm just like wondering, oh man, what's going to happen in The Boys?
Yeah. So, for you guys that don't follow, Gen V takes place in the world of The Boys, the Prime Video show original. Which is, and it's going on its fourth season. Mm-hmm. Homelander, still a fucking purge, still crazy. But Gen V it has a really interesting take, right? Like the first episode, kind of, without giving everything away, first episode kind of puts you in that world immediately because it shows you this black family's reaction to the Super 7 getting a black person, right? Mm-hmm. So like it shows you from like a flashback of like them watching A-Train get acclimated into the 7, and then it kind of just goes from there. Have you watched any episodes?
No. That's why I'm gonna ask.
Okay,
I'm okay with spoilers, but
yeah,
questions.
Yeah,
from that point of view.
Okay, well,
you already answered one.
Yeah, so it's cool because it shows you that, and then it just gives you present time of like, so you're watching already knowing that it takes place in that world. So it's kind of fly. And they had their season finale the other day.
Oh yeah, Arnold Schwarzenegger's son is in it. He's like one of the stars.
Oh, that is him.
Yeah, Patrick.
Okay.
One of the other stars, and I'm really mad because she was in a movie that came out during the pandemic. The lead girl.
Oh, Marie.
Yeah, Marie. She was in like a Morris Chestnut movie. No, I'm sorry. The movie with Michael Ealy, where him and like Luke Cage is in it.
I know
Mike Talter. It's one of those bad movies that came out during the pandemic. Like I watched it and thoroughly enjoyed it.
I feel like I started watching it and fell asleep. Mike Coulter and
Michael Ealy. What's Marie's real name?
I think it's it starts with an S. I know that. Oh, that was her in the Fatale movie?
Yeah, that's her.
With if you would have said Hilary Swank,
Hilary Swank. Yeah, and Hilary Swank. Yeah, she's Michael Ealy's wife in the movie.
Oh shit. Okay. Damn, that was her?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, she's fire.
Yeah, I really like what they did. It kind of expanded on like how Vought like runs things and like shows like I like when they first said it, I thought it was gonna be like how in the comic book pretty much made them the X-Men.
Yeah.
But is they have like elements of that, but like they kind of steered away from it. So I thought that was really cool too. But for the most part, like I really like it. I don't want to spoil anything for you guys. I want you guys to watch it. But like I'm really mad that it was only 8 episodes.
With it being set of more teenagers, is it still just as
yes
fucked up? Yeah.
Right. It's very fucked up.
All right.
It's kind of in the vein of you can see the X-Men influence because they're like in this school that's presumably supposed to like teach them about their powers or whatever, but you never really see that side of it.
I love that they've gone the route because we've, as comic book fans, in the comic books, there's always real pieces of shit. There's a lot of shit you don't see in Marvel movies, DC movies, and prior comic book iterations than this, because just think about it, with all the complexities and people's, different mentalities, egos, personalities, mental states, people having powers and all this many people having powers might not be the best idea. Because the fucked up shit that happens throughout The Boys, to then transfer over into this, and the only thing I think we're getting in the same realm even is Invincible.
Yeah,
which is coming with the second season.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it's out.
Season
The first episode already premiered. It's out.
Okay.
But yeah, with Gen V, there's a lot that they show that I'm just like, wow, this is a lot. But I like what it shows that like everyone's not going to become a superhero that has superpowers.
Yeah.
So some of them get jobs doing other real jobs just that they have superpowers while doing the job, and I think that was cool too that they depicted that. So like I said, it was really cool. I don't want to give away too much. But also I wanted to talk about. I've been listening to Will Smith and Jazzy Jeff's podcast.
Mm-hmm.
It's called Class of '88 because that many people consider 1988 the first great year in hip hop. So with that being said, like that was the year, like there was the first hip hop Grammy. The Adventures of Slick Rick, Salt Pepper was big. Rakim and Eric B became huge household names and everything. Big Daddy Kane and the Juice Crew, like he pretty much became like he came out like it was his coming out party from the Juice Crew and everything like that. There was so many things that happened in 1988, like pretty much Run DMC became corny that year, like to some people. But I'm just saying, like there was so much that happened that year in 1988 that like changed the face of hip hop. That pretty much made it a big deal. But yes, he basically interviews like all of the major players from 1988. So he interviews Salt and Pepper, he interviews DMC, he interviews Eric B and Rakim, but separately. Like he interviews
I saw that.
Who else? Who else did he interview? Him and Jazzy Jeff have some like really good stories, like that they talk about. LL Cool J's interview, like all of those rappers who were prominent at that time, and it's really funny because like all of them toured together, and pretty much all of them were like managed by Russell. They were either managed by Russell Simmons or they were all signed to Def Jam.
Yeah.
So they all did all of this stuff together, and they were just all these teenagers becoming millionaires. And pretty much like just living their lives, like going like traveling the world and like pretty much introducing this new brand of music.
I saw the clip of Will Smith talking to Salt and Pepper about like the date that they went on.
Mm-hmm.
Like it was right after or before she was dating Tretch. I forget what it was.
Yeah, like he took her on a date and her and Tretch were broken up at that time. And he was trying to like impress her, and it was funny because like he gave just drop shit everywhere. He gave a homeless person $100 bill.
Oh yeah.
To stunt in front of her and shit like that, and it was just like this really random like.
She was like, "You were so nice. You were so nice."
I bet I know that she be kicking herself like you could have had Will Smith, girl.
Yeah, I know. Pepper. No, is it Pepper?
Pepper.
Yeah, I know. Salt be like, yo.
Yeah, like he was on you. Like,
yeah.
So yeah, it was just it's a good listen, and like I see that Will Smith is kind of like pivoting, doing some things where he's I don't know, I like before
reminding people that he was a rapper.
Yeah, and I think that that's really cool because also it made me go back and listen to that project, and it's funny, like he told the story, like they said, all right, parents just don't understand it has to be the lead single, but they had another single that was where he was like really rapping, but like we never hear that, and then like the video is the pretty much the same backdrop as the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air opening, and like we just think like, oh man, like yeah, like kid shit, white background with crayons and shit like that, but like Will really like wanted to like be respected as an MC and as a rapper, but that just wasn't in the cards for him. I think like he absolutely made the right choice, but it sucked that like early in rap, like anytime you did something, it was funny how like I never thought that Salt and Pepper were commercial, but like they were deemed commercial, and so and that was their bond too. Like DJ Jazzy Jeff and Will Smith were deemed commercial.
Yeah.
Even though Jazzy Jeff was pretty arguably the best DJ in the world, but they were deemed corny and they were deemed sellouts because white people liked them. They were crossing over onto the pop charts, and
no curse words.
Yeah, and like it's just is what it is. But like for me, like it was just hard to wrap my mind around. So I was like, they were a female group. Like why would they even be judged so hard? But then you have Queen Latifah, who was also interviewed, and they talked to like they had a good conversation with her. Like it's just hard to like understand that now, like because like they're always getting honored, they're always being celebrated, always being mentioned. But yeah, like finding out like damn, like they're pretty much being treated like outcasts, and like all they're doing is just trying to make music and have a good time. But that was when because a badge of honor hip hop was being underground and not
Yeah.
being on radio and hard to find and shit like that. It was just a good listen. I know that pulled on my heartstrings. Something I really like.
Definitely check it out. How many episodes is it? Maybe
8.
like 10. Okay. All right, cool. Yeah, I'm gonna check it out because I am interested. I do like to see Will kind of like getting back in that realm of like despite all the bullshit going on in the press with him, and his wife and everything like that, like him just reminding the masses like, yo, this is how it started. Like this is where
and being human, bro.
Yeah.
Like think about it. Like I think Will, like most of his interviews and stuff like that, when he would talk, like on this podcast, like he's cursing, like he's being completely just regular, like normal Will Smith, and is actually pretty gold.
So took him getting in his 50s to do that, which is crazy. But like now, seeing him be himself is nice.
Yeah, cool. I think so. I think social media has changed things and like how like celebrities can be. I think there was a prototype at one point, and Will just like stayed in it. And I think now like things are a little bit more like relaxed and like laid back.
I think there's also the calmest rollout he's had for a project because I feel like normally he's usually
all over the place.
Yeah.
Well, nah, if you follow him on Instagram, he's pushing this like crazy.
Well, yeah, but I guess in other times of him promoting things, it's more spoken about. I guess. I like this.
Okay. You don't.
First time. No, I think I knew supposedly they had a podcast in the works, but yeah,
he has over like 10 million followers on Instagram. So in my opinion, I'm thinking he's like
60 something million.
Oh, there you go. Sorry, 60 something. He kind of don't need to like even like he's like I got like you got 60 million followers. You don't need to talk to any other outlet. Like you are the outlet. So yeah. But let's get into this album. We picked this album especially for Danny.
Yeah, we did. So this album that we're getting into today came out, funny enough, and I don't know why I paused or I didn't think about the fact that this came out in the like golden age of like rap, one of the best years for rap music. This also, it just doesn't get brought up when people talk about that year. You talk about Lauryn Hill, you talk about DMX dropping twice, you talk about all these, you talk about Jay-Z selling 5 mil. But in that realm or in that roster of albums that dropped that year is this one and I'm talking about Don Cartagena. Don Cartagena is Fat Joe's third studio album, came out September 1st, 1998. And this was a really big release for him. You had Big Pun all over this album. You had the Terror Squad, you had production from Marley Marl, you had DJ Premier, you had Buck Wild, you had Ski, the Beatnuts, like Mac 10, Melly Mel, Dame Grease. Like he had some really, really big names on this album, and he stepped it up another level for rap wise, and then you can kind of, it's always said behind the scenes like, yo, Fat Joe's here for music. It's one of those things we always heard. Fat Joe's here for music is amazing, and same thing we hear about Rick Ross, right? Rick Ross here for music is crazy. And when I did the revisit for this album, I was like, fuck, man, like everything is put together so well for this album. And I admittedly didn't sit with this album for that long back then. Because in the midst of all the albums that dropped around this time frame, this just wasn't in my rotation like that. But on the re-listen, it was a really, really enjoyable experience. But I want to get to like why you thought that we should revisit this one. Why did you pick this one?
Honestly, I feel like me and Torian have spoken about doing this album a couple times, about wanting to do a Fat Joe album in general. I think the way Fat Joe's aged in hip hop is really, I don't think there's anything like it. We've seen him since he was 17 with FloJo, Breakout. He went on from, I think it was Relativity, to start Terror Squad with Atlantic. And he had put out solid work before this. He had 2 projects that were well received before this.
That was one of them.
And I forgot his first one. Represent was his first album. So Joe has been in every era of hip hop since he was 17 and has been able to transition every so often. He for a little while, he disappeared for a while, he'd come back. Joe stays with a hit.
What a banger, yeah.
he's hip hop to the essence through graffiti and everything, and he's just
His
super
crew,
violating his
part of digging
crew.
in the crates.
Yeah, digging in the crates. Um, he's a New York icon. I
Hmm.
think he transcends hip hop in New York.
He does. I agree.
And I think he's very slept on. And I think his way he's aged should be studied. And I think Joe's just that dude really in it, and it's really shown over time.
Yeah. So I mentioned '98 and '98 being so big for hip hop. Were you in tune with this album back then, or did it take
Absolutely.
you a
I'm from
minute?
El Barrio, from Spanish Harlem. So for me, like this album was played a lot when it came out, and I was already like a Big Joe fan because I mean Big Joe, a bit Fat Joe fan because like in at the Apollo, like he like broke a record for like winning on amateur night. Like so like that was like a big thing he was just talked about, and like he was actually um like a local hero. Like South Bronx is right there. So and Spanish Harlem, like we had Cameron, like, but he was on the West Side all the time. Like Fat Joe actually like came to like Spanish Harlem and shit like that. So like a lot of and then you got to remember he went on a hiatus. He took 3 years to basically like get pun ready,
Hmm.
and like he like became like an executive. Like so he was being his doctor. He was the Dr. Dre to Big Pun Snoop Dogg, and excuse me, like he was really really like adamant about making sure Big Pun because he knew how good he was.
Hmm.
So then like when Pun put this project out, everybody was kind of like, oh shit, because everybody thought like Big Fat Joe kind of retired
Hmm.
essentially or whatever like that. So him putting this project out and this shit, like this song was just played on Hot 97 like nonstop. Like Angie Martinez used to make that like her like waiting music.
Yeah.
So
Which song?
the song with Puff.
Oh, Adios.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
So it was just something that like she would just like, while she's like talking and chatting and whatever like that, like, talking in Cypher Sounds or somebody, or DJ Enough, like whoever like or Patty Duke, whoever like was DJ or the engineer working with her that day. That's what she would do. And for me, like, it's funny, like, you would think like growing up like locally, like, you would have like black heroes, but like Fat Joe was our hero
yeah. Hmm.
because like, he was still like in the hood. He was like obviously nobody was gonna fuck with him. And like, he was around. So he was like this larger than life figure. Like think about it. Like he like that legendary someone at the Rucker, like he was there every fucking game. That's why it was such a big deal with him and Jay-Z, and like he was talking his shit the way he was. Like Fat Joe was around, man. He was present. So for me, like this and the fact that like we all knew Big Pun was the fucking elite rapper, but the fact that Fat Joe could keep up with him
Hmm. Yeah.
was also like impressive. And it's just like what they did. It was just like it brought like a sense of pride because Fat Joe is like the quintessential New Yorican. Like
Yeah.
when people say a New Yorican, like he like that's him. And it's funny because I never knew this, but like him and Big Pun don't speak Spanish. So like the Cuban Link has an interview where he said he was making fun of Pun because he was like, "You're not even in mi clase." He was like, "Yo, that's not even a word. Like that's not you're not even
Yeah.
saying nothing in Spanish. That's not clever." So shit like that. But it's like, and then like me finding out like Fat Joe's like first time going to Puerto Rico was like in his like 30s or some shit like
Yeah.
that. Like
Taking planes.
right. And
Yeah.
it was during the earthquakes when he went out there to like take them stuff and everything. But like me just me understanding like if someone says to me that they're New Yorican, they still have Puerto Rican heritage and pride. But that it doesn't take away, it doesn't make them less Puerto Rican. Like it's
Right.
just that
Right.
like
Right.
they're second generation, Puerto Ricans living in America, and it's like it's people I grew up with. So it's like the same way how like there's black people who might like say like, yo, I embrace black culture, like I kind of embrace New Yorican culture.
Hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Like I love my rice and beans or roast con pollo. Like you know what I'm saying? Like there's certain things that like I just love.
He listens to Mark Anthony regularly.
It's just certain shit that I just like that just like are in my DNA. Like bodega stores are a common thing. When I was young and I would go to other cities, I'd be like, "Yo, where's your bodega?" And they'd be like, "You mean the gas station?"
Yeah. That's the stop.
Like that's what will happen to me. But like yeah, so like when Danny said this project, I was like the funny thing is like I listened to this project a lot, so like I didn't have to like really like do like take a lot of like do a lot of research and everything like that. Like I already got Did you know this story for this album? I'm already ready to debate who had the best verse on John Blaze. All that, like, let's go. Like, I'm ready.
Yeah, no, this album, 15 tracks, like,
It's also the second one off of Terror Squad. Because something I want to say about this that I think very few artists we've seen been able to be the artist to put somebody on and been able to step out the way. A lot of times we credit like Wayne doing that for Drake and for Nicki.
mm-hmm.
Fat Joe, this was a very important album for him. He took the hiatus, as Torian said. The first album he decided to put out on the label was the Capital Punishment Pun.
Mm-hmm.
That was very well received, almost won the Grammy. And then he decides he's gonna drop. He has most of the songs are featuring somebody from Terror Squad, and he really goes hard to, and even talks about it in interviews how he had to understand he had to be the one holding the umbrella for Pun.
Mm-hmm.
Like he knew how to play a position that was smarter and pivotal to the team winning. And I think a lot of times he caught a bad rap when we were younger. We would hear stories about Terror Squad and all this shit, and how Joe was a dick and stuff. But in hindsight, when you see how everything's played out and you hear what's happened as it comes out over time, you realize Joe really didn't have to do half the things he did.
Yeah,
it's always like that. That's always. No, well, let me not say always, but that usually happens. Like, because everybody's like jealous. Like, I can do his job, or I can do what he's doing.
right,
but
right.
Fat Joe had those relationships, and he was the one able to get those deals. Like, think about it. Like, he took Big Pun to Steve Rifkin,
mm-hmm.
and was like, "Yo, this is the greatest rapper in the world. You need to sign him."
Mm-hmm.
Like, he just said it like that, and I don't think Steve Rifkin heard Pun rap, and he just signed him.
He signed him off that.
Yeah, he signed him off that. So, like, think about that. Think about a man that can walk you into a room and say you're the greatest at anything, and a person believe it and give you life-changing money.
And it goes a lot with the gift of gab too, right? Like we've seen how Joe has kind of developed his career from like being an amazing storyteller, just like off being a rapper. Him just telling stories, people can just listen to him speak all day, and I'm pretty sure he can use that type of talent to like talk his way through anything and get people to really take him serious and listen to him.
Yeah, and like it's so funny because it's like everybody like now he's Jopra, and like some of the stories that he tells are like called into question, right?
Yeah.
But like he really is like the rap Forrest Gump because he was around for so much. All right, so I'm just gonna get this out of the way because I'm so excited about it. Like over the summer, he got a lot of backlash for talking about like him and Biggie recording over 8 songs together and everything like that. But like there's a story that like a lot of people back up where him and Biggie were supposed to do a song, and he hit Biggie up, and Biggie was like, "Bet, I got you," and like Puff like was like, "Nah, you can't work with Biggie. I'll give you a verse." And like at that time, like No Way Out wasn't out yet, so like it's still being recorded, and Fat Joe was like, "What?" like I want a song with the best rapper in the world, so. And then Puff was like, "I got you, let's do it." So that's how we got Don Cartagena, and like it worked out and everything like that. So I don't know about him and Biggie recording all those tracks together. Like I don't know, but also Fat Joe said that like Biggie went at Tupac really hard, which is really funny because everyone around Biggie said that like Biggie went out his way to not diss Tupac and not like say a lot of vicious shit. So who knows? I would never call Fat Joe a liar, but I just think hopefully somebody can magically leak it then. I would like to hear it, but whatever. But the one thing that I do know that is like factual is that Biggie agreed to do a song with him on this album. Puff like stepped in and volunteered himself. I don't know why. Like I don't know if it was like a money thing. Like he was like, nah, like what I want for like or whatever. But I mean, it still was a good alley oop because it was a lead single off the album.
Yeah,
and it worked. So but I just like that was just very interesting to me, like of a thing to do. Like, can you Puff Daddy and the Family is not out yet.
Yeah.
So I think that would be the most infuriating thing to me. Like, why do I want you on my record?
Like, why didn't he? What was it? He didn't give him a reason.
Well, he just Diddy's album. Diddy was probably working on his album already.
No, he was working on it. But what I'm just saying is like he basically said like, "Nah, you can't have Puff, but you can have me." Like, nigga, who? Like, you rap? Like,
Yeah, like you're not really even out here yet.
I mean,
This
fuck
is-
it worked though.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it did work.
like because the thing, like obviously No Way Out came out and like it worked out, but like this is like all they were all recording their project. Like Biggie was recording Life After Death, Cartagena was being recorded, and No Way Out was like in being recorded. So it was just like, all right, like they saw like what was happening and everything like that. Like, all right, cool, like Life After Death is a hit, and like you hear Puff on that, and then Puff's album comes out, and then it's like, and then Fat Joe is like, all right, let's make that the lead single because Puff is hot. But like, if I'm Fat Joe digging in the crates, I'm like, why the fuck do I want you rapping on my song? Give me Biggie, nigga. Like,
yeah.
Mind you, Puff wasn't even Biggie's manager. I bet you, like he didn't have like he low key didn't have the authority to say no.
He vetoed that shit.
Yeah,
he heard something. If, like, granted, Big Voice doing that hook would have been
it would have been fire. It would have been fire.
I would have liked to have just been all three of them, and then the fact that like Biggie and Pun never got Biggie and Pun never got to do anything. That's unfortunate too, and like it's just funny because like also Fat Joe telling the story about Bone Thugs, and like most people like being like, nah, it didn't really happen like that. You was around, but like I just think it's funny.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I think it is funny, but more now because the thing is too, you hear like Joe is also the guy people go to when they leave New York. We've heard stories.
Him and Mac 10, like like people don't notice, but like him and Mac 10 are like very close.
They have a movie together.
Yeah, Thicker Than Water. Yeah. I actually love that movie.
I forgot about that movie.
Yeah, I'm a really big fan of that movie. Yeah.
That was that whole No Limit putting out movies and then Cash Money putting out movies.
Yeah,
that shit was great.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, like I think it was Jim Jones telling a story about when he first went to Chicago, when Dipset first went to Chicago and stuff, and he reached out to Joe, and Joe made sure he was good and met with everybody he needed to meet out there. And
yeah, it's smart. Like Fat Joe is just one of those people. Like, and Fat Joe's stories are hilarious. Like, there's a certain artist name that like we shouldn't talk about, but like he has like a hilarious story about when he went to Chicago to record a song with this particular disgraced R&B artist, and like he would come out and box people and like would play his own music to come out to box people, and he was knocking dudes out. he said he came out to the world's greatest and performed, and then you never heard that story?
No, I never heard that.
So you gonna say he said that R. Kelly would have like real life boxing matches, and that R. Kelly will come out and perform a song and then get in the ring and like really like square up and like box and knock a dude out.
This nigga, yo.
I gotta find the clip for you
now. Okay, so this album kicks off with an intro that I wasn't that crazy about, but it kind of does set the palette for like the mafioso type vibe that he's like gonna kick into. So I guess I don't mind it for that reason. But Crack Attack, fire,
yeah,
off
produced
rip
by LES, yeah, fire, off rip.
Yeah, yo, Joe really has been Joe Crack from the beginning. Like he has his roots in graffiti, known as Crack. Like, Joe, so when he just kicks off like that, you're like, oh, he's rapping. And at the time, because I don't even think this is his best rapping.
Really?
No, I think Jealous One still like Jose might be his best.
I think that's that's like his best commercial.
That's his best commercial album.
But I think it's his most polished rapping.
Okay.
That's what I mean.
I will argue with you. I think I'll be honest with you. I'm biased. Like Don Cartagena for me is just like, to me that's
it's my favorite Joe album, but I think it's his polished like his best performance.
No, I'm telling you, I'm ignorantly standing in the fact that I think that Don Cartagena is his best rapping, and I just felt like that time off and him coaching Pun and like having so much feedback to give to Pun, and then seeing how talented Pun was, I think, and then I'll be honest with you, that's my best version of Fat Joe.
Okay.
Because he was still scary.
I agree. No.
When he started when he started being a big friendly fella and started making songs, I was like, oh man, I don't think Fat Joe will kill me no more.
I think
but at the same time,
All or Nothing. All or Nothing was really good rapping too. That's the drink. That's the one that had Safe to Say on it with that Just Blaze produced. Once again, back is incredible. That
Mhm.
shit had some bro did on it, and that was the year of the Runners.
That's the same album that has Make It Rain, doesn't it?
No, that's the album. Make It Rain, I think, was Loyalty.
Yo, all right. I think people don't realize Joe could have had a solid verses against somebody. I think.
Okay, he could have. All right, can we agree on this? This is his best album cover.
Hands down.
Thank you. Okay, just one.
No, sorry. Me, Myself, and I was Make It Rain. Yeah, but yes, this is his best album cover. Yeah, it is.
It was impressive, but I just think that like he is like he's just like he's like a magnet in hip hop, and like everybody like kind of like just fucks with. It's funny because it's like I feel like him and Nas are like one of those guys that like rappers like just want to be around them niggas and like make music with them, and I think that's why I think that's why him and 50 was able to piece it up too, just because like Joe is like he's thorough and like he's about it, so it's just like I think 50 looked at him and was like, all right, you know what? And like, their relationship with Chris Lighty, I think like it just made it easier for him to like make amends with him. Yeah. 50 hold grudges to the death.
Yeah, he does.
No, I think seeing be able to piece it up, I think seeing him and Jay be able to piece it up has been.
That was a big yeah. Fat Joe. I really, really like. I'll be honest with you. I gotta tell you something. So for my birthday a couple years ago, I was at Prime 112 and I saw Fat Joe and I was with Sarah. And like that was like, I'm used to seeing I was scared. I didn't want to talk to him. Because I was just like, I feel like I'm gonna say something stupid. I didn't know what I was gonna do. And Sarah was like, babe, like, and I was like, nah. I was like, I see him. That's all I need. Like, I was like, if he hurts my feelings on my birthday, like I'm like, I don't know what I'm gonna do because we in Miami and I know he got his people out here, but I just did it. Like I'm telling you, like I don't like I can speak to like people that I really like look up to and like keep my composure. I probably would have been like, I didn't do it.
Good call. Good call. I now pay to see that though.
Yeah, I just didn't. I didn't have it in me to like maneuver that situation the right way.
Like, yo, if oh man, I got to wait for you to lose a bet and figure out how to make that happen. All right. So besides Crack Attack, it goes into triplets, which
amazing. Yeah. That's the first feature that we get from Pun on this album.
I don't think there's a single weak verse in this entire album. Maybe Charlie Baltimore. I don't. You enjoyed it. I
like Charlie Baltimore on there. Yeah, but I agree. I don't think there's a weak verse on here. And I think all the production on here, the production on this shit, and Joe sounds there. Nothing is like nobody drops the ball on this album in my opinion.
Yeah,
it's really, really good.
Great effort.
Yeah. Shit. Which one was it? Was it Bet Your Man Can't?
Yes.
Cuban Link on that? Ooh. Oh my god! Like he had two verses on there. They went crazy.
That's why it's so heartbreaking about. I'll be honest with you. It's been so long. I don't even know what they. I know Cuban Link got his face cut, but like, I don't even know what the beef is about.
I don't think it's. I think that's more personal shit. That it's. There's always been the rumors of.
Okay, now you just reminded me. Yeah, I'm good. We don't got to talk about it on here, but like, it's like it's just like heartbreaking.
Yeah,
because like like when with Terror, like Cuban Link, he was next up and like he could rap.
Yeah, his album ended up getting leaked eventually. 24 Carats, I think is what it was called. And bro, that shit was fire. And he had a couple fire projects since. Didn't he have a track with 50 at one point?
I'm not sure. I'll be honest with you. Besides like the small amount of like lead tracks from that debut album, I haven't heard anything. I've seen him have interviews and stuff like that, but it's just kind of like heartbreaking because like, what sucks is that when certain artists are alive and like people in like their circle, like they're obviously going to be taken care of because you care about that artist, right? but like when that main person is gone, everybody expects to be treated like that person is still here.
Right.
And unfortunately, that's not the case. So Fat Joe was just like, none of y'all are stars. Remy, I can focus on her. The rest of y'all, I'll do what I can. You know, and like they put out the Terror Squad album, right?
Yeah.
But Cuban Link didn't make it to that. But like they did that, right? And I really think that Tony Sunshine didn't get like a full fair shake. Like I think Tony Sunshine could have like
Cuban Link was on the Terror Squad album though.
He was?
The first one.
He was
The
on
first one?
Yeah.
Oh no, I'm sorry. I'm talking about the second.
Yeah. The one that was like the
I'm talking about I'm talking about the one for Lean Back.
Okay.
The one Pump was still alive for that.
Yeah.
Right. But yeah, like I just feel like damn, like, you know, it sucks. And I think that's kind of like where like the animosity comes from, because they just like, yo, if Pump was here, you wouldn't be doing this shit. And then Fat Joe's looking at him like, you exactly.
Mm-hmm.
You're no, what the fuck good are you to me if you know what I'm saying, the person that, you know, it's like a catch-22. So he was just like, all right, Remy's the only one that like has like any value, so I'm gonna make sure she good. And that's basically what he did. Like that's why they were even able to reconcile after she went to jail. And I think if she didn't go to jail, they might have not. I think her going to jail would like made him have some sympathy, because it's like nobody wants anybody to be in jail.
Right. Yeah, when the rumors of her doing the G Unit were up, I was like,
oh, I remember that.
Yeah,
that was big.
You know,
I wanted that to happen.
I thought because I remember there was one. I think that was what it was. I think at one point there was talks of that 50 was about to sign Cuban Link and Remy Martin, and it was
that was all out of spite. I think like, everybody should have known like 50 was just going to do that to do it.
Yeah,
and probably fucking shelved them.
Now, actually, I take that back. 50 probably would have did something with Remy. They would at least got a single.
I think I don't think 50's taking anybody on that he's not gonna at least try and help. It doesn't make sense for him as a businessman. I get it. He doesn't do it anymore.
Even him signing Mobb Deep, that Blood Money album was pretty good.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, I think if 50 can get something out of you, he'll put it out.
Yeah.
But so is there anything on the project? Like I think we all like are in agreement that we like love this project, right?
Yeah.
Like, is there anything on the project where you guys were like, pun?
No, pun. My one song that I'm like,
probably My Prerogative for me.
Same.
Yeah,
that's probably the only one. That actually is the only one.
Yeah.
Yeah, My Prerogative is the only one. That I just the chorus is just but everything else, like if you see my fucking notes on this album, it's just flame emoji. For almost all the songs, and then everything that I wrote, like I kind of put I put a lot of emphasis on the production and just Fat Joe's voice. Like he just sounds great on all of these songs.
Yeah. It's the Bronx.
Yeah.
Like when I think of anything Bronx, that's the voice I think of.
You want to know what I love about Puerto Ricans? I love the fact, I'm just being honest with you. New York Puerto Ricans. What I love about New York Puerto Ricans is that like they're Puerto Rican, right? But they kind of have like it's like a blend of Italian in their accent and the way that they pronounce things. And it's like only New York Puerto Ricans have that. If you meet a Puerto Rican from somewhere else, they don't have that shit. And it's really funny to me that it happens that way, because like I thought it was only an uptown thing until I ventured out and met Puerto Ricans from Brooklyn, and their Italian accent is even harder. Sometimes you can mistake some of them for it. I just like it because like I love like mobster films and shit like that. Yeah, it's a very interesting thing.
I don't think I've met Puerto Ricans from anywhere else but New York.
Yeah, we only go New York, Philly,
Miami. If you go to Florida, you'll find some.
Yeah.
But yeah, like they're along the East Coast and stuff like that. But yeah, like
you gotta be careful with Miami. So
I mean, yeah, of course. But it's just like a very very interesting, like endearing thing or whatever like that. Like, you know, like I date a Puerto Rican woman now. Like I love Puerto Ricans. Like I'm an honorary Puerto Rican. Like I get that. Like, you know what I'm saying? So I just think that
I think
there's
at the time, I think this is post. I think that's also the reason why this album did not necessarily get through everything going on. I think the mafioso aspect was being done by a bunch of other people.
Because
Jay a little bit,
big Jay-Z and Raekwon. Yeah. So they like those three were already doing it. Nas with Esco, right?
Yeah.
And so, but the funny thing is like probably the most authentic to it was Fat Joe.
I mean, yeah, you got like Joe is really the person that like people hold him to be in hip hop. Like, he's been stand up for every person.
Right. He can walk in a certain room. It's just like he just carries like a certain amount of respect. And I just really think that this project, like, if somebody asks me, like, yo, I want to listen to Fat Joe, I'm going to tell them listen to Don Cartagena. Like, it tells you everything you need to know about Joe. It also gives you like a certain like feel for like what New York felt like. Like, if somebody would have asked me, like, yo, like, there's certain like albums, I'm going to say like Mobb Deep, Hell on Earth. Like, there's certain albums that are like like that have become like bigger than New York, but then there are certain that like I can try to take you back to what it felt like for me getting out of my elementary school, PS83, going to get a slice of pizza, going with my friends to, like, you know what I'm saying, like, go to the Chinese store and get a iced tea from the Chinese store, and like just being in the neighborhood and hearing cars riding down the street, and like what the music sounded like in my atmosphere.
Yeah. I mean, that's what it brings back. This is one of those albums that I remember my older brother, like, he's 10 years older than me, so he's picking me up when I'm in like elementary school, and then I think it was 5th grade and shit, just blasting that shit, and all the other kids looking at me, and then my brother just pulls out, and like I just felt cool and everything with all this, and getting out and just getting picked up every day by my brother.
Right.
Yeah.
It
just
it was really significant to me, and it's funny because like my stepdad, he listened to hip hop, but he was a jazz guy, so he was like very mature. Like there's certain albums that he listened to, and I realized why. So he loved It Was Written. He loved All Eyes on Me. He loved Don Cartagena. Like, he had these like in his rotation and shit like that. And like all of them kind of have like a certain kind of like luxury feel to them. Reasonable Doubt was also like one of like so he kind of like like they were talking about shit that like he knew about. Like, you know, he had a Rolex. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, he traveled to like all like these different places and everything like that. He wore the clothes that they was talking about, and like he was a street nigga that, you know, understood like the levels of like elevating out of the street, but like he could relate. So I'm like, damn, like he these projects that he loved, and like I like loved them as an adult. Now I'm like, damn, like it was just really significant. So it's like something that like I always remember. Like, and those like all his shit was just all jazz, but like those rap albums he had.
Yeah. For me, like I didn't really start paying attention to Fat Joe till like the early 2000s as a rapper.
That makes
sense. Then I
sense.
went back, but like in this time frame, '98 was all about Big Pun. Like,
yeah, you're right.
Punishment for me. But I always knew Fat Joe. Like, he was like one of those figures that crossed over and was just like larger than life, and he was affiliated with Joe. But then obviously, like, as years went on, I knew about the inner workings of how we even got, Big Pun, and Joe's relation to that. But yeah, for me, it wasn't like he wasn't attached to like the essential rap albums that I had to listen to, at least starting out.
And I don't think that he is. I think that he's looked at as like an elder statesman in hip hop, or like a well respected figure. But I think that for like, all right, like you split time between here and Detroit, like but it makes sense. Like, me knowing you so well, right? Like you're like your own relationship with hip hop started with 97,
90, yeah, like I would say early 90s. Like, I always say MC Hammer and people laugh, but like MC Hammer, and then I went to Cameroon, came back, so like 96, I would say.
Okay, like 96. So you think about it, in 96, like he was like, you know, so like Fat Joe was like quiet, like, because he was pushing Pun. So it makes sense that like in the 2000s is when you became like fully familiar and everything like that, because it's just like you just like if you're like back and forth, you're like, all right, like who's on TV, so who's on the countdown and stuff like that. And it was like you knew like, oh, he be with Big Pun, like he's Big Pun, you know. So it's just one of those things like that. To me, like, that makes sense. Like, that doesn't sound far fetched. Now
back then was the the Def Jam album that dropped, so you get to see the calendar in the thing, and then you saw Capital Punishment was coming out, so it was like, all right, who's Big Pun? And then my brother would put me on.
I get it. Yeah, like it was just like an exciting thing, whatever, like that. Like it like, to me, it was exciting, like seeing Big Pun like perform at a WWE event. That shit was fucking amazing.
Oh yeah.
Man, like, he was great, bro. Like, there's a story about Pun that he told that I think is the craziest thing ever. So apparently, Dr. Dre and Snoop Dogg will perform at Deep Cover, and Fat Joe was in LA and Big Pun was in Vegas. And Fat Joe was like, "Yo, get over here! Like they're gonna wait for you to perform." And they said that like Big Pun just couldn't get from the crap tables.
Yeah.
Mind you, it's a 4-hour drive, so I'm just like, what the fuck was he waiting for? Like, I need to know like the time. I'm like, do you mean to tell me like he's like they on the stage performing and like they were going to wait 4 hours for him? Like, was this early in the day and like Big Pun just didn't leave? I just think that's supposed to be like how do you miss an iconic moment like that? That's so infuriating.
And you kind of blew up off of doing that cover.
Yes, like it's like that like the thing that made your career like you don't give a fuck about, bro. Like what? Like that's
I wonder how much he was up at that time.
Yeah, like I'm like, yo, he either had to be up or he had to be crazy down and was just trying to get back even or something. Like that is insane to me. Like
make this count.
It's also really funny to me when I hear about other rappers like not like jumping when they hear things like that. Like, hey, Dr. Dre wants you to perform with him on stage, and you're just like, I'm at the crap tables right now.
Yeah,
tell him to wait. What?
But I think for him, like he's used to people waiting on him anyway because he's this really big guy. So like you gotta like just wait for when he wants to make moves.
I get it.
I think he was just accustomed to that.
Yeah, I get it. I guess for me, I just can't. I just can't fathom. And maybe like who knows? Maybe I get money and I just turn into a different person. Like, hey, Jay-Z's waiting for you. Tell him to wait. Like I don't know. Maybe I'll change. But like I just feel like that's some shit. You just be like,
take the 500.
Yeah. Like you just stop everything. You just be like, so I don't know.
Yeah. Nah, I get it a little bit. But I think as far as songs that I don't fuck with on this album, I think My Prerogative is the only one that I'm on the fence about. And then Good Times, Don't Kill Me, but the chorus, I'm not really that big of a fan of. That's a joint with Lazy Bone and Crazy Bone.
I actually really like that.
You like the chorus?
Yeah, I like the chorus.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. I just don't think it fit this song that well for me.
Yeah, I didn't like it either. It's I usually never get to it.
It's no Young Thug Good Times, but I still enjoyed it.
Yeah, it's no is that Jamie XX?
Yeah.
But yes. So overall, this album, it was a very pleasant listen for me. It was very, very fun to revisit this one.
I'm glad. I was worried.
Standout songs. Yeah. What are your standout?
My standout. Okay, let's get to it. So that gangsta shit produced by DJ Premier is fire. What else do I have here? I have The Hidden Hand.
Hidden Hand. Okay.
Yeah, The Hidden Hand with all the Terror Squad. That production on that, and they all just really brought their A game. Shit, man. Of course, John Blaze, and of course we're probably gonna get to that, right?
Yes.
So yeah, I'll name those as my top 3.
All right.
Yeah.
I'll listen. So, Misery Needs Company is like one of my favorite like tracks.
Oh yeah,
and like I really like Minority there. Obviously Don Cartagena. Obviously Your Man Can't Do It Like Me.
Mm-hmm.
And John Blaze. Obviously, right?
Mm-hmm.
But like My World with Big Pun is my shit as well on this project.
Yeah.
Like, I just really, I can't say enough. Danny, go ahead.
Don Cartagena. I really love Diddy, the contrast between him and Diddy's voice.
Mm-hmm.
My World. Your Man Can't. I just remember the video being on BT all the time when it was out. And obviously, John Blaze.
Yeah. Who had the best verse?
What for you?
For me, Raekwon had the best verse on this.
Same, I agree.
No, that's true.
Ray, because Ray is just like a fucking. You're already in the cloud from hearing the other 3, and then Nas comes in so fucking smooth.
That's what it is. It's between them two for me. Like I was kind of like Nas is my second favorite rapper.
Yeah, I would.
So it's hard for me to be like, damn, I'm not.
Mm-hmm.
It's just one of those things.
I knew that was your second favorite rapper.
Yeah, I would never guess that.
Yeah.
But for me, like the big deal is that like for posse cuts, like John Blaze like has to be like always like mentioned in that conversation of posse cuts, and I'm just like, damn, like this is up there with like Fantastic Four, Liquid Swords, like the fucking Symphony
Mhm.
by the Juice Crew. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, this is like John Blaze is like a posse cut that like holds weight, like 24 Hours to Live. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, so I'm just like, damn, like these are all rappers are all at their like, you know, like really like steel is sharpening steel right here.
Yeah.
And like they got in the studio and like did this shit. Like I love how Big Ghostface tells the story about this song being recorded. I gotta find that blog. Like I read it one time.
For that shit, I miss that shit sometimes. He does production now, doesn't he?
Yo, and it's immaculate.
Yeah.
Immaculate
I heard his projects with Conway.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was what.
Big Ghostface.
Yeah.
Yes,
I
sir.
still don't know what the fuck he looks like.
Yeah, we don't.
I like that.
Yeah. Remember we thought he was Donald Glover for?
Yeah. Forgot who was convincing me that. It was probably Felix.
Sound like
the shit he was saying. But yes, let's get to these ratings.
I can go first. Off rip. I'm gonna give it the same amount that the source gave it. I remember when I read it. I'm gonna give it 4 waffles out of 5.
Mm-hmm.
That's that. And the source gave it 4 mics. I think that this project was solid, and then to be so good and to come out of the year that all those albums that came out in '98. So I was just like, you can't knock that. And he held his own, and he was able to show that like, yes, Pun is one of the greatest rappers ever, but like I can hold my own too. Mm-hmm. And I think that was impressive.
I think his ability to not ability to, I should say, the way he pushed his crew on this and made sure they were all getting some sort of shine for fight. Armageddon had his own song. Like, it's just very telling to see why he's here now and understood how to play the game in the long run.
Yeah.
And Joe, this is definitely a 4 out of 5.
I'd agree, actually. 4 all across the board. I think this album, like I said earlier, it really reminded me about Fat Joe's ear for music. It's not that like I slept on it in any way, but it was like a fresh reminder. Like it was like, you know, because I haven't heard Joe tapped in and do. Well, no, I take that back. He released a mixtape, I want to say like last year, that was really, really, really fucking good, and all of it got taken off of like Apple Music because it was like very sample heavy. Mm-hmm. He made like
he made a mixtape.
Yeah, he made a mixtape.
Traditional.
And he put it on there, and he used a lot of samples that just weren't cleared, and he wasn't supposed to do that, so they just took the whole shit down. But it was really fucking impressive. And every now and then, and I like that from Joe, like he gets in these pockets where he really just reminds people that of the cloth he came from. Like, he can really still rap. He's not in this type of bag no more. Not from '98. You know, you can imagine he's not really in that era anymore. But this album was a fresh reminder for me about like why he is where he is and like where he came from, and all the production, the features, all the layers that they help add to this album. Like not a verse was missed. Everybody clocked in.
Yeah, and this is around the time I think when they this album was also a big chip on Terror Squad's shoulder after losing the Grammy. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And like, nah, we're gonna get the respect. And I think with this one, they really like, man, we're going harder with this.
Yeah, they took it there. They took it there for real. So like, I would say, you know, for you guys, for the watchers that might not even be familiar with Fat Joe's work, because we do have a lot of younger listeners too. I would highly recommend starting off like what Torian said. Like if you're looking for an introduction to Fat Joe as a rapper, this is the one.
It works.
Yeah, this one is the one that'll show you why he is where he is. And I'll leave it at that. I'm First Class Reg.
I'm Torian B.
We out of here, guys.
Catch you next time.
Dun dun.